Hi guys, I'm back. Today I'm going to read Judges 20 to 21, Ruth 1 to 4, Proverbs 7 and Psalm 9. Let's get started. Then all the Israelites came out. They came from the whole land between Dan and Beersheba. They also came from the land of Gilead. All of them gathered together in front of the Lord at Mizpah. The leaders of all the tribes of Israel came. They took their places among the people of God gathered together. There were 400,000 men carrying swords. The tribe of Benjamin heard that the Israelites had gone up to Mizpah. The Israelites said, "Tell us how this awful thing happened." So the Levite spoke. He was the husband of the woman who had been murdered. He said, "I and my concubine went to Gibeah and Benjamin. We spent the night there. During the night, the men of Gibeah came after me. They surrounded the house. They were planning to kill me. They raped my concubine, and she died. I took my concubine and cut her into pieces. I sent one piece to each part of Israel's territory. I did it because the men of Gibeah had done a very terrible thing in Israel. All you men of Israel, speak up now. Tell me what you have decided to do." All the men got up together. They said, "None of us will go home. Not one of us will return to his house. Here's what we'll do to Gibeah. We'll cast lots to tell us how to attack the city. We'll take 10 men out of every 100 from all the tribes of Israel. We'll take 100 from every 1,000. We'll take 1,000 from every 10,000. The men we take will get supplies for the army. Then the army will go to Gibeah and Benjamin. They'll give Gibeah exactly what they should get because of the terrible thing they did in Israel." So all the men of Israel came together to fight against the city. The tribes of Israel sent people to carry a message to the whole tribe of Benjamin. They said, "What about this awful crime that was committed among you? Hand over to us those evil men of Gibeah. We'll put them to death. In that way we'll get rid of those evil people." But the people of Benjamin wouldn't listen to the other Israelites. They came together at Gibeah from their towns, and they came to fight against the other Israelites. Right away the people of Benjamin gathered together 26,000 men from their towns. They were carrying swords. These men were added to the 700 capable young men from Gibeah. Among all these men, there were 700 who were left-handed. Each of them could sling a stone at a hair and not miss. Israel gathered 400,000 men together. They were carrying swords. All of them were trained for battle. That number didn't include the tribe of Benjamin. The Israelites went up to Bethel. There they asked God, "Who should go up first and fight against the people of Benjamin?" The Lord answered, "The tribe of Judah will go first." The next morning the Israelites got up. They set up camp near Gibeah. The Israelites went out to fight against the men of Benjamin. They took up their battle positions against them at Gibeah. The men of Benjamin came out at Gibeah. They killed 22,000 Israelites on the field of battle that day. But the Israelites cheered one another on. They again took up their positions in the places where they had been the first day. The Israelites went and wept in front of the Lord until evening. They asked the Lord, "Should we go up again to fight against the men of Benjamin? They are our fellow Israelites." The Lord answered, "Go up and fight against them." The Israelites came near the men of Benjamin on the second day. The men of Benjamin came out from Gibeah to oppose them. That time they killed 18,000 more Israelites. All the men who died had been carrying swords. Then the Israelites, the whole army, went up to Bethel. They sat there and wept in front of the Lord. They didn't eat anything that day until evening. Then they brought burnt offerings and friendship offerings to the Lord. Again the Israelites spoke to the Lord. In those days the Ark of the Covenant of God was there. Phinehas was serving as priest at the Ark. He was the son of Eleazar. Eleazar was the son of Aaron. The Israelites asked, "Should we go up again to fight against the men of Benjamin? They are our fellow Israelites." The Lord answered, "Go, tomorrow I will hand them over to you." Then Israel hid some men and had them lay all around Gibeah. They went up to fight against the men of Benjamin on the third day. They took up their positions against Gibeah, just as they had done before. The men of Benjamin came out to fight against them. They were drawn away from the city. They began to wound and kill the Israelites just as they had done before. About 30 men fell in battle. They fell in the open fields and on the road. One of the roads led to Bethel. The other led to Gibeah. The men of Benjamin said, "We're winning the battle over them, just as we did before." But the men of Israel said, "Let's pull back. Let's draw them away from the city to the roads. All the men of Israel moved away from their places. They took up new battle positions at Baal Tamar. The men who had been hiding charged out. They came from west of Gibeon. Then 10,000 of Israel's capable young men attacked Gibeon. The men of Benjamin didn't realize they were about to be destroyed. The fighting was very heavy. The Lord helped Israel win the battle over Benjamin. On that day, the Israelites struck down 25,100 men of Benjamin. All the men who died had been carrying swords. Then the men of Benjamin saw that they had lost the battle. The men of Israel had moved away from their positions in front of Benjamin. They had depended on the men they had hidden near Gibeah. Suddenly those men who had been hiding rushed into Gibeah. They spread out. Then they killed everyone in the city with their swords. The Israelites had made a plan with those who had been hiding. They had told them to send up a large cloud of smoke from the city. Then the Israelites would turn around and attack. The men of Benjamin had begun to wound and kill the men of Israel. They had struck down about 30 of them. They had said, "We're winning the battle over them, just as we did the first time." But a large cloud of smoke began to go up from the city. The men of Benjamin turned around. They saw the whole city going up in smoke. Then the Israelites turned around and attacked them. The men of Benjamin were terrified. They realized they were going to be destroyed, so they ran away from the desert. So they ran away from the men of Israel. They ran toward the desert, but they couldn't escape the battle. As the Israelites came out of the tents, there they struck down the men of Benjamin. Here's how it happened. The Israelites had surrounded them. They had chased them and easily caught up with them east of Gibeah. So 18,000 men of Benjamin fell in battle. All of them were brave fighters. So men of Benjamin turned back. They ran toward the desert to the rock of Rimmon. As they did, the Israelites struck down 5,000 of them along the roads. They kept chasing the men of Benjamin all the way to Gidom. Along the way, they struck down 2,000 more. On that day, 25,000 men of Benjamin fell in battle. They had been carrying swords. All of them were brave fighters, but 600 of them turned back. They ran into the desert to the rock of Rimmon. They stayed there for 4 months. The men of Israel went back to Benjamin. In all the towns, they killed the people with their swords. They even killed the animals. So they killed everything they found. They set on fire all the towns they came to. The men of Israel had made a promise at Mizpah. They had said, "Not one of us will give his daughter to be married to a man from Benjamin." The people went to Bethel. They sat there until evening in front of God. They wept loudly and bitterly. "Lord, you are the God of Israel," they cried. "Why has this happened to Israel? Why is one tribe missing from Israel today?" Early the next day, the people built an altar. They brought burnt offerings and friendship offerings. Then the Israelites asked, "Has anyone failed to come here in front of the Lord? Is anyone missing from all the tribes of Israel?" The people had made a promise. They had said that anyone who failed to come to Mizpah in front of the Lord must be put to death. The Israelites were very sad because of what happened to the tribe of Benjamin. After all, they were their fellow Israelites. "No, today one tribe has been cut off from Israel," they said. "How can we provide wives for the men who are left? We've made a promise in front of the Lord. We have promised not to give any of our daughters to be married to them." Then they asked, "Has any tribe of Israel failed to come here to Mizpah in front of the Lord?" They discovered that no one from Jabesh Gilead had come. No one from there had gathered together with the others. In the camp with the people. They found that none of the people of Jabesh Gilead had come to Mizpah. So the community sent 12,000 fighting men to Jabesh Gilead. They directed them to take their swords and kill those living there. That included the women and children. "Here's what you must do," they said. "Kill every male. Also kill every woman who is not a virgin." They found 400 young women in Jabesh Gilead who had never slept with a man. So they took them to the camp at Shiloh in Canaan. Then the whole community sent an offer of peace to the men of Benjamin. The men were at the rock of Rimmon. So the men of Benjamin returned at that time. They were given the women of Jabesh Gilead who had been spared, but there weren't enough women for all of them. The people were very sad because of what had happened to the tribe of Benjamin. The Lord had left a gap in the tribes of Israel. They weren't complete without Benjamin. The elders of the community spoke up. They said, "All the women of Benjamin have been wiped out. So how will we find wives for the men who are left? The men of Benjamin who are still alive need to have children." They said, if they don't, the tribe of Israel will be wiped out. But we can't give them our daughters to be their wives. We Israelites have made a promise. We've said, "May anyone who gives a wife to a man from Benjamin be under the Lord's curse." Look, a feast is celebrated every year in Shiloh to honor the Lord. Shiloh is north of Bethel. It's east of the road that goes from Bethel to Shechem. It's south of Lebanon. So they told the men of Benjamin what to do. And they said, go, hide in the vineyards and watch. The young women of Shiloh will come out. They'll join in the dancing. And when they do, run out of the vineyards. Each of you grab a young woman from Shiloh to be your wife. Then return to the land of Benjamin. Their fathers and brothers might not be happy with what we're doing. And if they are, we'll say, do us a favor. Help the men of Benjamin. We didn't get wives for them during the battle. You aren't guilty of doing anything wrong. After all, you didn't give your daughters to. Your daughters were stolen from me. So that's what the men of Benjamin did. While the young women were dancing, each man caught one. He carried her away to be his wife. Then the men returned to their insured land. They rebuilt the towns again. They made their homes in them. At that time, the Israelites were also there. They went home to their tribes and family groups. Each one went to his own share of land. In those days, Israel didn't have a king. The people did anything they thought was right. Ruth 1-4. There was a time when Israel didn't have kings to rule over them, but they had leaders to help them. This is a story about some things that happened during that time. There wasn't enough food in the land of Judah, so a man went to live for a while in the country of Moab. He was from Bethlehem in Judah. His wife's name and 2 sons went with him. The man's name was Elimelech. His wife's name was Naomi. The names of his 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion. They were from the tribe of Ephraim. Their home had been in Bethlehem in Judah. They went to Moab and lived there. Naomi's husband Elimelech died, so she was left with their 2 sons. They married a woman from Moab. One was named Orpah. The other was named Ruth. Naomi's family lived in Moab for about 10 years. Then Mahlon and Chilion also died. So Naomi was left without her 2 sons and her husband. While Naomi was in Moab, she heard that the Lord had helped his people. He had begun to provide food for them again. So Naomi and her 2 daughters-in-law prepared to go from Moab back to her home. She left the place where she had been living. Her daughters-in-law went with her. They started out on the road that would take her back to the land of Judah. But Naomi said to her two daughters-in-law, both of you go back. Each of you go to your own mother's home. You were kind to your husbands who have died. You have also been kind to me. So may the Lord be just as kind to you. May the Lord help each of you find rest in the home of another husband. Then she kissed them goodbye. They broke down and wept loudly. They said to her, we will go back to your people with you. But Naomi said, go home, my daughters. Why would you want to come with me? Am I going to have any more sons who could become your husbands? Go home, my daughters. I'm too old to have another husband. Suppose I thought there was still some hope for me. Suppose I married a man tonight, and later I had sons by him. Would you wait until they grew up? Would you stay single until you can marry them? No, my daughters. My life is more bitter than yours. The Lord's power has turned against me. When they heard that, they broke down and wept again. Then Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye. But Ruth held on to her. Look, said Naomi, your sister-in-law is going back to her people and her gods. Go back with her. But Ruth replied, don't try to make me leave you and go back. Where you go, I'll go. Where you stay, I'll stay. Your people will be my people. Your God will be my God. Where you die, I'll die. And there my body will be buried. I won't let even death separate you from me. If I do, may the Lord punish me greatly. Naomi realized that Ruth had made up her mind to go with her, so she stopped trying to make her go back. The 2 women continued on their way. At last they arrived in Bethlehem. The whole town was stirred up because of them. The woman in the town asked, can this possibly be Naomi? Don't call me Naomi, she told them. Call me Mara. The mighty one has made my life very bitter. I was full when I went away, but the Lord has brought me back empty. So why are you calling me Naomi? The Lord has made me suffer. The mighty one has brought trouble on me. So Naomi returned from Moab. Ruth, her daughter-in-law from Moab, came with her. They arrived in Bethlehem just when people were beginning to harvest the barley. Naomi had a relative on her husband's side of the family. The relative's name was Boaz. He was a very important man from the family of Elimelech. Ruth, who was from Moab, spoke to Naomi. Ruth said, let me go out to the field. I'll pick up the grain that has been left. I'll do it behind anyone who is pleased with me. Naomi said to her, "My daughter, go ahead." So Ruth went out to the field and began to pick up grain. She worked behind those cutting and gathering the grain. As it turned out, she was working in a field that belonged to Boaz. He was from the family of Elimelech. Just then Boaz arrived from Bethlehem. He greeted those cutting and gathering the grain. He said, "May the Lord be with you, and may the Lord bless you," they replied. Boaz spoke to the men in charge of his workers. He asked, "Who does that young woman belong to?" The man replied, "She's from Moab. She came back from there with Naomi." The young woman said, "Please let me walk behind the workers. Let me pick up the grain that is left." She came into the field. She has kept on working here from morning until now. She took only one short rest in the shade. So Boaz said to her, "Dear woman, listen to me. Don't pick up grain in any other field. Don't go anywhere else. Stay here with the woman who works for me. Keep your eye on the field where the men are cutting grain. Walk behind the women who are gathering it. Pick up the grain that is left. I've told the men not to bother you. When you are thirsty, go and get a drink. Take water from the jars the men have filled." When Ruth heard that, she bowed down with her face to the ground. She asked, "Why are you being so kind to me? In fact, why are you even noticing me? I'm from another country." Boaz replied, "I've been told all about you. I've heard about everything you have done for your mother-in-law since your husband died. I know that you left your father and mother. I know that you left your country. You came to live with your people you didn't know before. May the Lord reward you for what you have done. May the Lord, the God of Israel, bless you richly. You have come to him to find safety under his care. So I hope you will continue to be kind to me." Ruth said, "You have made me feel safe. You have spoken kindly to me, and I'm not even as important as one of your servants." When it was time to eat, Boaz spoke to Ruth again. "Come over here," he said. "Have some bread. Dip it in the wine vinegar." She sat down with the workers. Then Boaz offered her some grain that had been cooked. She ate all she wanted. She even had some left over. Ruth got up to pick up more grain. Then Boaz gave orders to his men. He said, "Let her take some stalks from what the women have tied up. Don't tell her she can't. Even pull out some stalks for her. Leave them for her to pick up. Don't tell her she shouldn't do it." So Ruth picked up grain in the field until evening. Then she separated the barley from the straw. The barley weighed 30 pounds. She carried it back to town. Her mother-in-law saw how much she had gathered. Ruth also brought out the food she left over from the lunch Boaz had given her. He gave it to Naomi. Her mother-in-law asked her, "Where did you pick up grain today? Where did you work? May the man who noticed you be blessed." Then Ruth told her about the man whose field she had worked in. "The name of the man I worked in today is Boaz," she said. "May the Lord bless him," Naomi said to her daughter-in-law. "The Lord is still being kind to those who are living and those who are dead." She continued, "That man is a close relative of ours. He is one of our family protectors." Then Ruth, who was from Moab, said, "He told me once. He even said, 'Stay with the workers.' He even said, 'Stay with my workers until they have finished bringing in all my grain.'" Naomi replied to her daughter-in-law. She said, "That would be good for you, my daughter. Go with the woman who worked for him. She might be harmed if you go to someone else's field." So Ruth stayed close to the woman who worked for Boaz as she picked up grain. She worked until the time when all the barley and wheat had been harvested, and she lived with her mother-in-law. One day Ruth's mother-in-law, Naomi, spoke to her. She said, "My daughter, I must find a home for you. It should be a place where you will be provided for. You've been working with the woman who worked for Boaz. He's a relative of ours. Tonight he'll be separating the straw from his barley on the threshing floor. So wash yourself, put on some perfume, and put on your best clothes, and go down to the threshing floor. But don't let Boaz know you are there. Wait until he has finished eating and drinking. Notice where he lies down. Then go over and uncover his feet. Lie down there. He'll tell you what to do." "I'll do everything you say," Ruth answered. So she went down to the threshing floor. She did everything her mother-in-law had told her to. When Boaz had finished eating and drinking, he was in a good mood. He went over to lie down at the far end of the grain pile. Then Ruth approached quietly. She uncovered his feet and lay down there. In the middle of the night, something surprised Boaz and woke him up. He turned around and found a woman lying there at his feet. "Who are you?" he asked. "I'm Ruth," she said. "You are my family protector, so take good care of me by making me your wife." "Dear woman, may the Lord bless you," he replied. "You are showing even more kindness now than you did earlier. You didn't run after the younger men, whether they were rich or poor. Dear woman, don't be afraid. I'll do for you everything you ask. All the people of my town know that you are an excellent woman. It's true that I'm a relative of yours, but there's a family protector who is more closely related to you than I am. So stay here for the night. In the morning, if he wants to help you, good. Let him help you. But if he doesn't want to, then I'll do it. You can be sure that the Lord lives, and you can be just as sure that I'll help you. Lie down here until morning. So she stayed at her feet until morning. She got up before anyone could be recognized. But Boaz thought, no one must know that a woman came to the threshing floor. He said to Ruth, bring me the coat you have around you. Hold it out. So she did. He poured more than 50 pounds of barley into it and helped her pick it up. Then she went back to town. Ruth came to her mother-in-law. Naomi asked, how did it go, my daughter? Then Ruth told her everything Boaz had done for her. She said, he gave me all this barley. He said, don't go back to your mother-in-law with your hands empty. Naomi said, my daughter, sit down until you find out what happens. The man won't rest until he settles the whole matter today. Boaz went up to the town gate and sat down there. Right then, the family protector he had talked about came by. Then Boaz said, come over here, my friend. Sit down. So the man went over and sat down. Boaz brought 10 of the elders of the town together. He said, sit down here. So they did. Then he spoke to the family protector. He said, Naomi has come back from Moab. She's selling the piece of land that belonged to our family, to our relative Elimelech. I thought I should bring the matter to your attention. I suggest that you buy the land. Buy it while those sitting here and the elders of my people are looking on as witnesses. But if you are willing to buy it back, do it. But if you aren't, tell me. Then I'll know. No one has the right to buy it back except you, and I'm next in line. I'll buy it, he said. Then Boaz said, when you buy the property from Naomi, you must also marry Ruth. She is from Moab and is the dead man's widow. So you must marry her. That's because his property must continue to belong to a family. When the family protector heard that, he said, then I can't buy the land. If I did, I might put my own property in danger. So if you buy it, you buy it. I can't do it. In earlier times in Israel, there was a certain practice. It was used when family land was brought back and changed owners. The practice made sale final. One person would take a sandal off and give it to the other. That was how people in Israel showed that a business matter had been settled. So the family protector said to Boaz, buy it yourself, and he took his sandal off. Then Boaz said to the elders and all the people, today you are witnesses. You have seen that I have brought land from Naomi. I have brought all the property that had belonged to Elimelech, Kilian, and Mahlon. I have also taken Ruth, who is from Moab, to become my wife. She is Mahlon's widow. I have decided to marry her so the dead man's name will stay with his property. Now his name won't disappear from his family line or from his hometown. Today you are witnesses. Then the elders and all the people at the gate said, we are witnesses. The woman is coming into your home. May the Lord make her like Rachel and Leah. Together they built up the family of Israel. May you be an important person in Ephrathah. May you be famous in Bethlehem. The Lord will give you children through this young woman. May your family be like the family of Perez. He was the son Tamar had by Judah. So Boaz married Ruth. Then he slept with her. The Lord blessed her so that she became pregnant, and she had a son. The woman said to Naomi, we praise the Lord. Today he has provided a family protector for me. May this child become famous all over Israel. He will make your life new again. He will take care of you when you are old. He is the son of your very own daughter-in-law. She loves you. She is better to you than 7 sons. Then Naomi took the child in her arms and took care of him. The woman living there said, Naomi has a son. They named him Obed. He was the father of Jesse. Jesse was the father of David. He was the family line of Perez. Perez was the father of Hezron. Hezron was the father of Ram. Ram was the father of Amminadab. Amminadab was the father of Nahshon. Nahshon was the father of Solomon. Solomon was the father of Boaz. Boaz was the father of Obed. Obed was the father of Jesse. And Jesse was the father of David. Proverbs 7. My son, obey my lips. Store my commands inside you. Obey my commands and you will live. Guide my teachings and you will guide your own eyes. Tie them on your fingers. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Say to wisdom, you are my sister. Say to understanding, you are a member of my family. These They will keep you from the woman who commits adultery. They will keep you from the smooth talk of a sinful man. I stood at the window of my house. I looked down through it. Among those who were childish, I saw a young man who had no sense. He went down the street near that sinful woman's home. He walked to her house. The sun had gone down, and the day was fading. The darkness of night was falling. A woman came out to meet him. She was dressed like a prostitute and had a clever plan. She was wild and pushy. She never stayed at home. Sometimes she's in the street. Sometimes she sits other places. At every corner she waited. She took hold of the young man and kissed him. With a bold face she spoke to him. She said, "Today I offer what I promised to have. At home I have meat left over from my fellowship offering. So I came out to meet you. I looked for you and I found you. I have covered my bed with colored sheets from Egypt. I have perfumed my bed with spices. I have used myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let's drink our fill of love until morning. Let us enjoy ourselves by sleeping together. My husband isn't home. He's gone on a long journey. He took his bag full of money. He won't be home for several days." She led him astray with her clever word. She charmed him with a smooth talk. All at once he followed her. He was like an ox going to be killed. He was like a deer stepping into a trap, into an arrow's pit to deliver. He was like a bird rushing into a trap. Little did he know it would cost him his life. My sons, listen to me. Pay attention to what I say. Don't let your hearts turn to her ways. Don't step onto her path. She's brought down a lot of men. She's killed a huge crowd. Her house is a road to the grave, and it leads down to the place of the dead. Psalm 9. Lord, I'll give thanks to you with all my heart. I will tell about all the wonderful things you have done. I'll be glad and full of joy because of you. Most High God, I'll sing the praises of your name. My enemies turn back. They fall down and die right in front of me. You have proved that I haven't done anything wrong. You have sat on your throne and just failed. You have punished the nations. You have destroyed evil people. You have erased their names from your book forever and ever. My enemies have been destroyed forever. You have leveled their cities to the ground. Even the memory of them is gone. The Lord rules forever. His service so that he can judge people. He rules the world in keeping with what is right. He judges all its people fail. The Lord is a place of safety for those who have been treated badly. He keeps them safe in times of trouble. Lord, those who know you will trust in you. You have never deserted those who look to you. Sing the praises of the Lord. He rules from his throne in Zion. Tell among the nations what he has done. The God who pays back murderers remembers. He doesn't forget the cries of those who are hurting. Lord, see how badly my enemies treat me. Help me. Don't let me go down to the gates of death. Then I can give praise to you at the gates of the city of Zion. Then I will be full of joy because you have saved me. The nations have fallen into the pit they have dug. Their feet are caught in the net they have hidden. The Lord is known to be fair by the things he does. Evil people are judged by what they have done. Sinful people go down to the place of the dead. So do all the nations that forget God. But God will never forget needy people. The hope of those who are hurting will never die. Lord, rise up. Don't let people in the battle. Let the nations come to you and be judged. Lord, strike them with terror. Let the nations know they are only human beings. Now that's done, I shall now do the Lord's Prayer. Please bow your heads. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as you also forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. See you tomorrow. Bye.